What's up? Hello, my name is Liz and you're watching for Booking Out Loud. So it's been a while, a little bit over a month, and I do apologize, but life happens. I entered a really bad reading slump, and I also just entered a really bad creative slump, and you're about to go and see Sam. Sam has grown up a lot in this month. Sam, say hi to the camera. Come on. Are you going to be good for me? Do you want to sit down with me? So it's been a long time since it's been a month. The month of July was a really hard month to even just pick up a book for me, much less want to create a video. And this is a hobby for me. The joys of filming with a dog. And so what I decided I was going to do is I just took a month. I'm sorry for not announcing anything. I don't really have a feature on YouTube yet to announce something. But I still have footage from my June wrap-up, which I never really released. Okay, I'm gonna have to put Sam away if I'm gonna film. 1 second. I still have footage from my June wrap-up, which I will put here. And then I'll also do a July wrap-up, which I only have a couple of books that I did end up reading. And then I'm hoping to just kind of ease myself back into the swing of things. I have a buddy read with Amy, which I'm really excited for. Amy from A Star Reads. We're gonna do the sequel to the 5th season, which is The Obelisk Gate. Very excited. Again, it's a reread for me. And then I just have kind of no plans for the month of August. I am just going to read what feels exciting for me and kind of update you from there. Like I said, I'm going with the swing of things. So wish me luck. And here is my June wrap-up, a month late. So today is my June wrap-up, and I have to admit, I don't have that many books to talk about for my June wrap-up. I only have 5 books to talk about. I was so busy for the last half of June. I had family come into town, multiple pairings of family, and it was just a lot trying to show them around town and just, visit. You get to see people now. It's insane and really wonderful, actually. And so I did get some reading in, but it definitely wasn't as busy as my first half of the month. But nonetheless, I am not repeating myself. If you want to know the 18 books I read in the first half of the month, please check out my my mid-month wrap-up, and I'll link that above and below like always. But this video is special because I will be going into my stats, and we'll just talk about the good, the bad, and maybe the ugly, who knows? Or maybe the great, right? But let's just get into it with my beautiful stats. So, genre-wise, no one should be surprised. Fantasy was a huge part of this month for me. I mean, just look at that. That's what, a third of my month, and that's fine. But what does surprise me is that romance was a huge part of my month, which, looking back on it, it actually isn't that surprising. I read a lot of romantic books via graphic novels and just a lot of LGBT plus books, which is also really great. So nothing really pops out at me, just that I'm very happy with the diversifying of my genre of this month, other than that beautiful fantasy. All right, here's where we really get into it. We have a lot of ebooks, which I already knew was going to happen, but I did actually read quite a lot of physical books, at least in the first half of this month, which I'm very impressed with, considering I usually read mostly ebooks, just with everything that usually happens, and that's just, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. I usually just read ebooks, so my physical book portion is doing great. And then, of course, some graphic novels, which should be a little bit bigger. I don't know why that's not as big. I probably just didn't classify them as I should have, but that's on me. It's okay. Page length in itself, again, nothing really surprises me. I read, I believe, 2 books in the 600 page length range, but then the majority of my books, as usual, are in the 300 page range, which, as you can see from my graph, again, very typical. Nothing unusual. I think June or May was very unusual on the page length category. Oh, this is the one I think is the most interesting of this month. My star rating is very diversified this month just because I read quite a variety of books. If you want to hear more about why it's so diverse, why I have that 0, which is a DNF, and why I have some pretty high ranking books, you might want to check out my mid-month review, mid-month wrap-up, mid-month update. That's what I call it. My bad. Sorry. But I ended up with 2 5-star books this month. One was from earlier, and then one, no. Both were from the last half of this month. Ooh, I get to talk about both of them today. Out of my 5 books, 2 were 5 stars. Yes. And then I have, again, typical, most of them are 3 stars, which is accurate. And then I had quite a couple, not quite a couple. I had 1 1.5 and 1 2-star, which is, yeah. Those are all in my graphs. Kind of interesting, but again, nothing really unusual this month. So let's just get right into talking about my 5 beautiful books. So the first and foremost book this time is going to be the 3rd Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. Continuation of a series. It's so cute, so adorable. I honestly think this is just kind of a go-to book now if I need to be happy, because it's just such a great book. I love the idea of going on a trip in this with your significant other. It's just great. It was great. That's all I can say. It was great. I gave it a 5-star. No, I gave it a 4-star. And I'm just really excited to read the 4th one that just came in the mail today. And it's going to be read basically today. Okay? Let's just put it out there. The next book I finished is actually the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. It was a buddy read with Amy from A-Star Read. And we actually just did a live stream discussion about it. And I will, of course, link it above and below. This was a reread for me, and I absolutely love this book. It's a 5-star, so this is one of my 5-star reads. And rereading it a second time did not diminish anything for me. I love this book. I love the concept. I love the mystery and the fantasy in here. And N.K. Jemisin just made a wonderful, wonderful world that I would change nothing about at all. And honestly, if anyone wants to read it again with me in the future, I'm all ears. Just hit me up, honestly. It's a beautiful book. Okay, and then I read Dune Messiah, which is the 2nd book in the Dune series. There's 6 of them by Frank Herbert. If you followed me at all and remember at all, I didn't really like the first one. I thought the first 2/3 of it, at least, were really, really boring and slow. And then, honestly, only the last little bit really picked up and saved the book for me. And that's why I ended up picking up Dune Messiah, because I wanted to continue the series and see if it picked up at all. I can say the concepts are there and they are very, very interesting. I do enjoy this series concepts. I do like the political intrigue on occasion in this book, but it's still so slow. Why is it so slow? It doesn't have to be this slow. It could be so much better than it is. It's 350 pages of what seems to be nothing half the time. And is that just me? Like, do I have to, is something wrong with me reading this book? Do I have to listen to an audiobook or something about this book series? I don't know. I am going to try to pick up Children of Dune. It's one of the shorter books in the series, and if I am still feeling like this and I'm halfway through the season, that being book 3 out of 6, I'm stopping. I'm just stopping the series. I really want to love it. I'm trying. I'm giving it the good old college try, and it's just not doing it for me. Nevertheless, I gave it a 3-star, and we're just going to talk about the next book. So I have Dead Man in a Ditch by Luke Arnold. This is the sequel, or the second book in a series that I started at the beginning of this month. The Last Smile in Sunder City, same author, clearly. And it's just a continuation of this fantasy world that's kind of gone astray. There's no more magic, but there kind of is, and this guy's a detective. It's interesting, to say the least. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it. I love the concept. It's kind of that nitty-gritty detective down on its luck kind of thing with a really interesting twist. But I don't know if, I mean, there's only 2 books out right now, but if I'd continue in the future. You get what I'm saying? Like 3 stars, solid book, solid concept, but it's just not the book for me kind of thing. Not for the reason I don't like Dune, completely different reasons. Ooh, yeah. And then I have Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. This is my first Agatha Christie book ever. And I'm going to leave it as my last Agatha Christie book. I absolutely hated it. I know there's people out there who absolutely love Agatha Christie, and I love myself. Okay, I don't know. I have not read enough Close Circle Mysteries, but I want to love Close Circle Mysteries. But there is something about this book, probably the dated history and words, syntax, that just couldn't suck me in. It was a slog all the way through for me. And I also had to kind of rush the read because it was due to my library in like 2 or 3 days. So I didn't really get to soak in the mystery and try to solve it myself, which I think is part of the reason I did not like this book. I ended up giving it a 2-star. So I shouldn't say that I'll never pick up Agatha Christie again. I probably need to read it in another format and give it the time it deserves, but it just was not this at this point in my life. You get what I'm saying? And then the very last book I read in the month of June, was Beartown by Fredrik Backman. And that was an experience. That book is something else, to say the least. It's about a hockey town, really, really small town that's surrounded itself by its love of hockey. It's a dying small town, and the only thing really going for it, self-described, is its junior hockey team, who is amazing and about to go to their semifinal and final match. And if they win, their hockey club will get all these sponsors, and it's like resting on these young boys to rebuild this town. And then the first kind of half the book really, it's like this dread is on this first half of the book because something is going to happen that completely shatters this town. And it does. And it completely ruins a girl's life. It completely ruins the town's life. It completely ruins the makeup of the town. And I found myself crying multiple times throughout the book. I found myself, it's a hard book to get through, point blank. It was a very dark concept, but I thought Fredrik Backman did an amazing job in it. And it also might just be too near for me to like really articulate what I'm feeling about the book, but it was good. And Fredrik Backman is just a phenomenal writer. And yeah, it was good. And this was a 5-star for me, hands down right now. Yeah, and I did put it on my best books of 2021 right now. It might change later on, but as of this moment, that's what I'm saying. So we'll just see. But like I said, that's my small wrap up for the second half of June. I only read 5 books. Sorry, life. It gets in the way, but I had a great last half of the month. Not regretting anything. Okay, and then now I'm back. Hi, what's up? Hi. I am filming this, just to let you know, on August 9th. So it is a little bit late, so we'll just get into it. Again, I'm easing myself back into this. I'm feeling more creative again, and I think I'm getting out of my reading slump, so we'll just play it by ear, right? But my July wrap-up doesn't have too many books. I think I read 5 or 6. So we'll just go in order by when I finished them, or the order I read, whatever. You get what I'm saying. You get what I'm hearing. Yeah, life. But the first book that I want to talk about is The Great Influenza. This was an audiobook that I was reading for quite a while, actually. I thought it was very, very informative. I've been hearing a lot about it. It was very popular because of reasons, right? And it is about the Spanish flu, the flu pandemic of 1918. And it goes into a lot of depth about a lot of things. So I'm going to be frank with you. It was really boring for a lot of it, but then it had some great information. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, definitely check it out. But I would honestly hold back from the audiobook because the audiobook just didn't catch my attention, and that's one of the reasons why it took me so long to get through it. I ended up giving it a 3-star. Now, the next book that I read was Us Against You. You just heard me finishing Beartown by Fredrik Backman. Us Against You is the sequel to Beartown, and it's taking place like right after. And this book is just as sad, I would say, but a little bit more on the hopeful side because you're looking a lot more on the future. Fredrik Backman has such a way with writing that he can like skip timelines, skip perspectives, skip whatever the heck he wants and just tells you about a character that happens 20 years down the line and be like, yeah, she's a star. And it's like, thank you. I really needed that, actually. Thank you, Backman. And so I appreciated the sequel, but I don't think it was needed. I think Beartown could have stood on its own. You get my drift? There's books like that, right? Nevertheless, I gave it 4.5 stars, and it was a good read. It was a good read. Not as good as Beartown, still cried, but a good read nonetheless. And then I finished and got the fourth Heartstopper book by Alice Oseman. This thing just came out, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to read Heartstopper. Really, really good book, and it did take more of a sadder side, but definitely the reality of a relationship, right? I don't want to ruin it for anyone who's reading it, but I love it, and I'm where's the next one? Okay? Where's the next one? I need to know. I want to find out what's happening in the relationship. And also, point blank, solidified my love for the sister. Okay? It's great. Just keep it going. Point blank. I gave it a 4-star. That's what this book gets. And then I continued on. This is where I was deep into my reading slump for this month, so I decided to pick up my Junji Ito book. Didn't really help me that much. This one is Frankenstein, so it's Ito's take on the story of Frankenstein. And don't get me wrong, it's good. I mean, it keeps to the story if you've ever read the true Frankenstein, and I have. Not a huge fan of Frankenstein, so it's not my favorite take of it either. But ignoring the Frankenstein story in it, I loved the other short stories that are collected in this. I mean, there's, from what I remember, 5 of these short stories in here I really enjoyed. Next Spectre, Bog of the Living Spirits, The Strange Tale of Okikiri, The Hell of the Doll Funeral, that's a good one, and Hide and Seek with Boss Non Non. That was a really cute one, actually. Not exactly horror, but a cute one. Not my favorite short story collection from Ito, but still decent, right? And if you like Frankenstein more than me, pick it up, without a doubt. Oh, and I gave it a solid 4 stars just because of those short stories that kind of made up for the majority of the book, that is Frankenstein. And then not only was I in a reading slump, I ended up not really feeling well midway through the month. I wasn't sick per se, just not feeling well. And so I went back to my good go-to and I reread World War Z. Audiobook wise, not physical book, because I just do the audiobook. And I honestly, when I'm not feeling well, I just take a down day and I listen to the full audiobook in one day, and it's doable. It takes the whole day, but it's doable, and it's awesome. And I love it. You've already heard me, if you're a longtime subscriber, ratting and raving about this. This is a beautiful book and I will always recommend it. Something that I did is I finally caved in after getting a little bit better and feeling better. I finally bought a book with a cover on it, and I've been kind of looking through it, and I might, next time I go through this book, actually read it and reread it physically, because I've never... Is it bad that I've never actually opened up World War Z? And it seems like it would be good to just physically read it, because I think there's footnotes that I've never heard or read about in the physical copy. And it might just be good to do. And then on that note, because I was looking at buying myself a copy, I realized that there's more things to World War Z. It's like, what am I doing with my life? And so I actually got this companion novel, graphic novel, with World War Z, and I read it in a day. Again, still not feeling 100% when I read it, but it was such a great companion to World War Z. It's recorded attacks, and it's not just recorded attacks during this World War Z phenomenon. It's like ancient recorded attacks. It like goes through history with zombies. I love history. I love zombies. Where has this been my whole life? Why hasn't anyone, any of my friends, If they were good friends, they would tell me about this or get this for me, but no. I'm actually kind of mad about it because it's amazing and I loved it. Yeah. Nevertheless, I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was short and it needed color because I loved it that much. But it's beautiful. If you like World War Z as much as I do, you need it. There's one more and I'm in the process of reading it right now, but I'll get back to you if it's a good companion to World War Z. Just so you know. And then the last book I read during my reading slump month is going to be The Burning God by R.F. Kuang. It is the last book in the trilogy, the Poppy War trilogy, and I've been doing live streams discussing it. And of course, I'll link the live stream above and below. It was a good book. It was a decent ending. I don't know and I don't see how it could end any differently, but I think my favorite out of the trilogy is honestly the first book. I gave this guy a 3.5 and I think I'm comfortable with that rating, but it really is a good trilogy and I love it so much. I'm so glad I was able to read it and discuss it with others because it's just a great book to do that with. So those are the books I read in June and July. Like I said, I am kind of easing myself back into this booktube thing. I'm still reading. I've read actually quite a few books the last week or so, so I'm excited to talk about them. I have a lot of tag videos to get into, and I think I might just start out with doing some tags. I did recently have my 1-year anniversary on booktube, so I might do something with that. So just be on the lookout. I don't promise consistency anymore, but I do promise more videos. I promise I'm not disappearing. But thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you next time, whenever that is. Bye.